if you take a look at that ad, and one thing that I found striking is if you look, and I think we have the images here, there are at least 3 points in that ad that show the border wall, Donald Trump's border wall. Is it now the position of the Democrats that they favor the border wall?
I think it's safe to say that the Harris honeymoon is officially over. You know things are bad for Kamala Harris when even ABC is beginning to hold her feet to the fire, beginning to hold her accountable. Yes, I get that they're about 3 or 4 weeks too late, but hey, better late than never. We'll take whatever we can get. Now, for those of you who are swing voters or undecided, I hope that you realize how insulting and how demeaning and insidious this move by the Harris campaign really is. Because we've been fed this narrative from Democrats over the last 4 to 8 years that border walls are racist, border walls don't work, and then all of a sudden Kamala Harris is going to use the border wall that Trump built as part of her campaign, as part of her pitch for us to elect her? I mean, come on, get real. And this proves, this is yet more evidence that she has zero original ideas of her own. If you go to her website, there are zero policy pitches, zero policy ideas, but the 3 major policy ideas that she has revealed are all plagiarized, are all copied from President Trump. First of all, she stole the idea of no taxes on tips for service industry workers. Then she stole the idea of increasing the child tax credits for families. That was the idea J.D. Vance trotted out. Then Kamala Harris, miraculously, within the next 12 hours, started talking about it. And now she's quite literally trying to claim credit for Trump's border wall. I mean, don't forget, the Democrats told us that Donald Trump never built the wall. He's exaggerating how much wall he built. Remember, they were trying to argue about how much he built, whether or not it was actually built. And now she's using footage of it to try to propel herself to the Oval Office. It's just insidious. If a presidential candidate has that little regard for us, for our intellect, if she is willing to gaslight us, what else is she willing to do for power? It's amazing to me that she's polling as well as she is, because she has proven herself not only to be incompetent, but Democrats like to talk about character all the time. Character matters, character this, character that. Well, Kamala Harris is revealing her character here. She is void of original thought. She is void of taking responsibility for her failures. And yet she wants to be commander-in-chief. Why? Now, even though ABC is starting to hold her accountable, this does not mean that they're necessarily trustworthy. This does not mean that we can trust them to be objective purveyors of information and the truth. And the best example of this is when Tom Cotton went to sit down and speak with Jonathan Karl. And Jonathan Karl tried to, again, gaslight viewers on Kamala Harris's views on Medicare for All.
And President Trump is going to draw a sharp contrast with Kamala Harris, who has supported things like decriminalizing illegal immigration or giving taxpayer-funded health insurance to illegal aliens or taking away health insurance on the job for 170 million Americans, banning gas cars, confiscating firearms.
These are all positions. What do you mean taking away health insurance? What are you talking about?
She said when she ran for president that she wants to eliminate private health insurance on the job for 170 million Americans, John.
Yeah, I mean that is not her position now.
How do you know that's not her position? How do you know that's not her position?
Okay, I want to stop there. And if you notice, Jonathan Karl really not only tried to argue with Tom Cotton, but tried to demean him in the most subtle way. What are you talking about? As if Tom Cotton is just making up this conspiracy theory. It was such a subtle aside. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? For people who don't follow politics closely, they'd be like, oh man, Tom Cotton's a liar. But in reality, Jonathan Karl's a liar here, because Kamala Harris is on record, and I'm about to show you video multiple times, saying that she wants to get rid of private healthcare insurance, that she wants to essentially enact Medicare for All, universal healthcare. And I'm not saying that politicians can't change their minds. I'm not saying that they can't evolve. But a politician has to be able to explain why they've changed their position on a specific policy. Because if they can't explain how they've evolved, if they can't explain why they've changed, then they're just a flip-flopper. Then they are just trying to pander for votes. It's not that hard.
She says she no longer supports Medicare for All.
She has not said that. Maybe anonymous aides on a Friday night have said that, but the last thing that she said on
this
most
was not
of
a
these
radical convention. I mean, she, as you heard me go through with Bernie Sanders, she is not taking the positions of the far left of her party. She's clearly making an effort to move to the middle.
I did hear what you said to Senator Sanders, and I thought it was clear that he's very disappointed that she's taking these efforts not to change her positions, but to hide her positions, John.
And that's exactly what the DNC was. They, Jonathan Karl claimed that it wasn't a radical convention. Well, that's because the DNC provided absolutely zero specifics on their policy agenda. I mean, it was all based on vibes, on let's move forward, or we're not going back, just emotional catchphrases and emotional slogans that mean nothing when it comes to policy prescription. That means nothing when it comes to how are you going to fix the economy? How are you going to protect America when wars are raging overseas, when danger is lurking and present right at our doorstep? What are you going to do? It's just crazy. And the thing is again, Kamala Harris, because she hasn't listed any of her policies, with the exception of the ones that she's stolen from former President Donald Trump, all we know is two things. Number one, what she said the last time she ran for president, her failed presidency, where she also got 0 votes, and then her record as the most liberal senator in the U.S. Senate. That's what we have to run on. So unless she explains how she has all of a sudden become a centrist, this is what we have to rely on.
Just to follow up on that, and correct me if I'm wrong, to reiterate, you support the Medicare for All bill, I think initially co-sponsored by Senator Bernie Sanders. You're also a co-sponsor on it. I believe it will totally eliminate private insurance. So for people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it?
Well, listen, the idea is that everyone gets access to medical care. And you don't have to go through the process of going through an insurance company, having them give you approval, going through the paperwork, all of the delay that may require. Who of us has not had that situation where you got to wait for approval and the doctor says, well, I don't know if your insurance company is going to cover this? Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on.
First of all, Kamala, everyone already has access to medical care. No one is being denied the opportunity to go to the doctor. Second of all, it's government interference that has made the private insurance industry so the disaster that it is. A lot of the issues when it comes to the U.S. healthcare system are a direct result of the U.S. government trying to intervene and trying to mess up our system. And what they're really going to do is bring us closer to what Canada has. Yes, everyone gets free healthcare in Canada, but you have a serious surgery, like for your heart, or you need a transplant. How long do you have to wait? Their waiting times are 6 months, 8 months, a year, 2 years before you can get the care that you need. That's not any better. And here's the thing. Kamala Harris didn't just say she wants to eliminate private healthcare then. She said it multiple times. Again, with Jake Tapper, here's a separate incident.
Must be addressed.
The bill also says, quote, every individual who is a resident of the United States is entitled to benefits for health care services under this act. Not every individual who's a citizen, but every individual who's a resident. So you support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny in our country any human being from access to public safety, public education, or public health, period.
In her own words, she wants illegal immigrants to have access to our healthcare system. And again, not just access to our healthcare system. That's not the issue. It's services from the healthcare system for free on the taxpayer dime. People who are not here legally, people who broke the law, people who presumably don't pay income taxes, don't pay taxes to the federal government, yet they get to benefit from our systems. It just doesn't make any sense. And Jonathan Karl is well aware of this. So for him to claim to Senator Tom Cotton that Kamala Harris was never and isn't for this is a complete lie. And he knows it's a lie. Here's proof, because Jonathan Karl, listen very carefully to what he says here.
Unlike Elizabeth Warren, Kamala Harris, she hasn't come out for some of those big ticket progressive items, Medicare for all, abolish ICE.
So there he's talking about Klobuchar, who is not for Medicare for all, and he was comparing Klobuchar to Kamala Harris, saying that Kamala Harris wants Medicare for all and Klobuchar doesn't. So again, they're proving it. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about ABC a lot in this video is because there is a lot of debate about the ABC debate. Now, keep in mind that the Harris campaign said the debate about debates is over, yet they are appearing to backpedal on all of this. According to Politico, the holdup, whether or not candidates' microphones will be muted when it isn't their turn to speak. Back when President Joe Biden was still running for re-election, his campaign came to an agreement with Trump's. There would be 2 debates, CNN's on June 27 and ABC's on September 10, conducted by mutually negotiated rules. One of Biden rules red lines, which the Trump team agreed to, was that the microphones would be muted throughout the debate, except for the candidate whose turn it was to speak. Now, the Harris campaign wants to renegotiate those rules. Keep in mind, they didn't. Trump wanted more debates. He, for example, proposed the Fox News debate. Kamala Harris turned it down because she's too chicken to go to a network that isn't going to give her preferential treatment. Well, now they're flip-flopping. The Harris campaign wants the mics to be hot. That's an industry term for having the mics on at all times during the ABC debate. And apparently this is because they want to try to goad Trump into saying something off the cuff, off script. And Trump, unlike Harris, doesn't have to be on script, but they essentially want to try to goad Trump into saying something inappropriate, or they want to have that viral moment. Remember when Kamala Harris put her hand up to Mike Pence and said, I'm speaking. I think they want something like that. They essentially want Trump to be talking, Trump to speak when it's supposedly Kamala Harris's turn, and for Kamala Harris to shut him down with the power girl boss move. It's just stupid. And I think the reason the Harris campaign is doing this is because they realize she can't win against Donald Trump. So I think they're trying to come up with any excuse they can to back out of this debate. And now probably they're going to blame Trump for not agreeing to the rules when he, this entire time, has agreed to their rules. When Biden was the candidate, Trump agreed to the rules that Biden demanded. You know, it was Biden who wanted all of those rules because his handlers realized that he was incapable for standing on the debate stage, and it turned out that they were right. And now Kamala Harris's advisors want to change the rules again, less than 2-3 weeks out from the debate, and yet they want to call Donald Trump the chicken. Well, Trump had a response to all of this today during a campaign stop in North Carolina.
The truth is they're trying to get out of it because she doesn't want to debate. She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate. But when I looked at the hostility during the weekend, you watch it this week with George Slopadopoulous, and the Vietnamese didn't get that one. You got it. Right? If you didn't get it, I couldn't push it. But no, we want to have fairness. We have to bring fairness back to the country. And we have to have a president. We are the closest to World War III, I believe, that we've ever been right now, right this second. And we have a man that just took a vacation in California. He was on the beach. And he came back today. Where's he going? Delaware. Why? Another vacation. He's going for another week. That's not the Vietnamese. They're hardworking people, aren't they? All right.
So Trump in Virginia, they're campaigning, doing a great job doing this retail politics again off the script. But I think he raised a great point that Kamala Harris is running scared. ABC is trying to cover for the Harris campaign, and Trump is just calling them out on it. And I hope more people see what's going on. Now, there is this strange coalition that's happening among the Democrat Party. They appear to all be reading from the same script. Again, I've used the word choreographed a lot because the Democrats are very good at high-level production. Don't forget, they are very close with Hollywood, and Hollywood loves the Democrats. And so they choreograph pretty much everything. Their DNC, there's what is said in the media, what is said on the campaign trail. And apparently they're even choreographing people who aren't on their ticket. Take a look at what Gavin Newsom had to say when he appeared on Pod Save America.
It's an intangible. It's different.
How are you feeling about the switch?
I mean, the switch. Now, we went through a very open process and a very inclusive process. It was bottom up. I don't know if you know that. Yes, that's what I've been told to say.
Yes, it was a blitz primary, I believe.
That's right.
That's what I've been told to say. Who told him to say that? I doubt it was his own handlers. He was probably told to say that from, if not someone in the Harris campaign, someone from the DNC. I think by publicly saying that's what I was told to say, I think that was personally a jab at the entire Democrat Party, a jab at the elites. Perhaps he wanted to run, and we all know Gavin Newsom has his own national ambitions as far as national politics is concerned. Maybe he's upset that he was told to stand aside, told to wait his turn until 2028. I think that's a very subtle, that's what I was told to say. That definitely is a very subtle, he's technically playing by the rules, technically being a team player, but he's definitely giving a jab to the Democrat Party apparatus there. Now, that right there, that clip happened at the DNC, and the further away we get from the DNC, the more we're realizing how radical it actually was. Because, okay, so they have the main convention hall, they have the main stage, that's where everyone reads off of the teleprompter, but they also have the breakout rooms, the breakout panels. And one of the top supporters of Kamala Harris referred to the Constitution as, quote, just a tiny piece of paper, as if it's irrelevant, just a little piece of paper, as if it's a nuisance. Take a look at this.
We can't just worry about protecting democracy. In this moment, we've got to reimagine it with people that look and love like us at the center. And I think for us right now, it's about reimagining freedom and this American story in a way that is more revolutionary than what our founders actually put down on that little piece of paper, but instead is the type of democracy that is by and for all of the people of this country. That's the opportunity that we have.
It's really terrifying that one of our major parties is openly denigrating the Constitution and really conditioning their base to just view the Constitution, which is the law of the land, which is the foundation of this country, as just a tiny piece of paper. And we shouldn't be surprised, and I really want to raise a warning. Because, yes, right now we still have the Electoral College. Yes, right now we still, fortunately, have the Supreme Court, barely have control of the House, to at least protect us from the left's overreach. But according to the New York Sun, there's this interstate compact, which is growing in popularity. It's the New York Sun referred to this as Plan B for the Democrats. The National Popular Vote Interstate Compact is inching towards adoption nationwide. And what this is essentially is these states entering this agreement with other states saying that their delegates are their electoral votes. Their electors are going to vote for whoever wins the popular vote instead of whoever wins their state's vote. And that, of course, is against the spirit of the Electoral College, is against the spirit of the Constitution. And they put together this map, the Compact Alliance, all of these green states, and this map is organized based on electoral votes. So you can see California has 54, New York has 28. The green states are the states that have already passed and enacted this compact, meaning that New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, Washington, etc., any state in green is going to award their electors to whoever wins the national vote. Now, fortunately, none of the swing states are really involved, but blue, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Utah, Wisconsin, indicates that at least the process has started. So we need to be very careful. I want to spread awareness about this, because if this compact is adopted nationwide, then there goes the republic. To me, that's a terrifying thought. Hopefully, the Supreme Court at some point will step in if the case goes all the way up the judicial ladder and say that is unconstitutional, against the spirit of the Electoral College. But I don't know. It's terrifying to think that there is such a broad coalition on the left who is so hell-bent and determined on undermining our Constitution, undermining our constitutional republic, and yet they claim to be the ones for democracy. Just absolutely terrifying. Now, two more things I want to talk about in today's video. Apparently, this is from the New York Post. The Navy is about to sideline 17 vessels due to manpower shortages. Again, this is happening under a Biden-Harris administration. Basically, they aren't getting enough. Right now we have an all-volunteer army. And there aren't enough people joining the Army, joining the Navy, joining the Marines, joining the Air Force. And why would people? Under the leadership, under the lack of leadership we're seeing under Biden and Harris? I mean, it's not surprising at all. But 17 vessels like that is a lot, especially when you consider what's happening in the Middle East, Ukraine, Russia, China now threatening not only Taiwan, but potentially the Philippines. And now we have the Navy potentially putting 17 ships out of commission because they don't have enough manpower. This is happening under the Biden-Harris administration, and yet Harris wants to be commander-in-chief. Yeah, right. Last but not least, J.D. Vance is still, man, he is proving that he is just the perfect surrogate for President Trump. He appeared again on talk shows this past weekend, and he is going to places where independents still watch. You know, independents and swing voters still watch the mainstream media, and he is proving that he can hold his own against biased reporters.
Now, the estimates vary, but how do you respond to that charge that Trump's tariffs would hurt the middle class?
Yes, if you step back a little bit, Kristen, there's this whole thing that Kamala Harris did at the convention where she made a bunch of claims about what would happen and not enough actually reflection on what already happened, right? Because Donald Trump was already president. He used tariffs to bring manufacturing jobs back to our country, and I think he'll do it again. And he did it while keeping prices extremely low. Because if you go back to the Trump presidency, we had 12,000 factories that were built during Donald Trump's presidency. Inflation never really ticked above 2%. His entire administration, in fact, was sort of around 1.5% most of the time that he was president. So when Kamala Harris says, if we do the thing that Trump already did, it's going to be way worse than it was last time, I just don't think that makes a lot of sense.
This makes me so excited for the vice presidential debate because you're going to have someone who's very serious, very poised, very well-versed in the facts in J.D. Vance. And then you're going to have Tim Walz, who, I don't know, is he going to do a high leg kick? Is he going to start, pretending he's a rocket and, be bouncing on the stage? I mean, J.D. Walz, if you just mute the television and look at him wherever he goes, he looks insane. I mean, he looks like he's high on drugs or, overdosed on caffeine. He just looks completely unserious. Meanwhile, you take a look at J.D. Vance, completely poised, completely presidential. You know, Democrats like to talk about temperament. Well, I think J.D. Vance is showing us he has the temperament to be vice president and potentially be president in 2028, 2034. But as always, all of this is just my analysis, just my opinion, and I would love to know yours in the comments below. What do you think about this controversy, this brouhaha over the September 10 ABC presidential debate? Do you think Kamala Harris is trying to look for an excuse to get out of the debate? Or do you think they're trying to set a trap for President Trump by demanding open mics? And if they are trying to set a trap, do you think Donald Trump will fall for it? Or do you think he'll be able to show restraint and discipline and completely surprise the nation like he did with his debate with Joe Biden? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask, but it really does help me in the algorithm to reach more viewers like you. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.